Good morning. Oh my gosh, I think it's worked. I am a little bit late because I've got a new laptop and nothing was registered on it. So I came onto StreamYard and I wasn't even logged in. So, hi, happy Monday. I feel like I haven't seen you for ages. We had half term and then an inset day. So that was very stressful and annoying. And then my darling sister, his daughter, my niece, has got chicken pox. So Jade isn't here today. And I'm so lost. Like trying to work in my office without Jade is astonishingly difficult. And we're at co-working and Jade won't be there. Like, it's horrible. Yeah, it's really funny to forget how much you rely on someone else now. Jade just does things for me in advance and I don't have to think about it. So it's really strange being back on my own today. So, hi. We're going to talk today about giving yourself time to succeed in your business and the whole myth of overnight success as a concept. And I've just written a blog this morning inspired by what I wanted to talk about today. So I've just put the blog out on the Filter Free Business Facebook page if you want to go and have a look, or it's on filterfreebusiness.com/blogs. It's the first one on there. So it's this idea of whether you've just recently got your business up and running, or if you're still in the planning phase, one of the questions that kind of goes through our heads a lot of the time is how long will it take to succeed? And there's a huge problem with that as a question in general, because first of all, the most defining thing we need to do here is look at what does it even mean to me to succeed? And so when there are stats, because I can throw a load of stats at you in a minute, and I will tell you kind of what the research says, but this idea of figuring out what successful business is to me is the underlying part for being able to define that, because what's successful to me might not be what's successful to you. And what was successful to me when I started, like 8 years ago, compared to where I am now, they're different playing fields. But if I was trying to aim for like the huge, we all want to be millionaires, don't we? Like if we're trying to aim for this as a concept, it feels a very, very long way away when you start a business. Maybe your first goal is me being successful means I earn £1,000 a month and I earn that regularly every single month. Like my most recent one, bear in mind I've been doing this a long time, is to comfortably, almost easily, be earning 5k a month, because that's the minimum I want to be earning to be able to support. Well, that was sort of the criteria for Tom agreeing to come into our business, is that was my comfortable level every month. And then we'll drop his wage and to take that as a chance to be able to go even further. But anyway, my point is, what is successful to me might not be the same for you. And some people might want time flexibility as their definition of success. So they're flexible enough to be able to do the things they want to do when they want to do them. So it's like go in the gym in the middle of the day. That's my husband's definition of it. To do the stuff he wants to do when he wants to do it without being on calls or knowing that he has like face-to-face commitments. Other people's might be time freedom, and time flexibility and time freedom are really, really different things. And I think even just knowing that as a concept shows how much we lump everything together as if there's one right way, as if there's one overarching thing. There isn't. Time flexibility for me means I can go and pick the kids up from school because I can choose to put my meetings in around that. Time freedom means that I can work when I want to work. And that's not where my business is at, because I have meetings and I have stuff that I need to be able to do at certain times. So I'm not really chasing time freedom, but I am chasing flexibility. And then the whole money freedom thing is totally different for different people. So some people just want enough to be able to make their business pay for holidays each year. Like, so you have to know for you what success means. But if I give you some stats, it's a bit depressing. And this is the key kicker, I think, is it's a bit depressing if you are buying into this idea of overnight success. And if you're watching the 7-figure coaches who are bragging basically about how easily they achieved this, because rarely is that the case. You'll get odd ones, obviously, but rarely is that the case. So in real talk, according to my notes that Jane made me before she abandoned me, in most cases, it takes about 4 years to attain a real business. And again, what are they scoring that on? What decides whether it's a real business or not? 4 years to attain a real business, about 7 to 10 years for that business to be successful. And on top of that, almost half, actually more than half, of startups fail before they reach their 5th year. Now, loads fail in their first years. The businesses that make it through their first year sort of can buy into that idea that they've done it, but actually 5 years is that kicking point. More than half of businesses fail in the first 5 years. And I think some of this is down to a lot of the stuff I talk about in the blog. Honestly, go read the blog. Is around this idea of you'll work your ass off for that first year. You really will decide I would give it everything. Then when you're not a millionaire by the end of the first year, it is really easy for your grit and perseverance and determination to kind of be eroded. And so you stop putting as much effort in, you stop kind of engaging as passionately, as determinedly as you did in the first year. And this is a huge part of that difference between kind of success mindset and not. More stats. Research shows only 40% of small businesses are profitable. And I can absolutely look around at the women that I work with and see that as a fact. Because, and I think lots of small businesses, especially female-owned businesses, start off as hobby businesses. Somebody loves doing something, they decide they could make more of it, or their friends tell them they could make more of it, or their family tells them they could make more of it. So it becomes, that's what they're going to do. But it stays a hobby business, and it stays as doing something where you're putting more money in than you're taking out. And that's fine. If you want it to be a hobby business, if you're happy with that, like there's no judgment ever from my part. Is if you want a hobby business, that's fine. If you want a profitable business, it is a completely different way of running it. And some people don't want or aren't happy with that switch. That's okay. But a profitable business is, if you are after a business, is kind of the important part, I guess, if you want to run it to make money. And it's found that the more kind of well set up your business is at the start, the easier it is to develop and become more profitable a bit later on. Because there are so many things I did at the beginning of my business that I now talk about and lecture on and say, please don't do that. That are just common pitfalls, and we can talk about like avoiding those when you set your business up really, really well, make it as streamlined as possible, make it as where do I want? Oh, for goodness sake. Like strategize. What word? This is where I need Jade to shout things at me. I'll come back to that. Process driven is what I'm talking about. Make it as process driven as possible. Yeah, I'll expand on that when I've got a brain again. So yeah, nearly 30% of small business owners run out of cash and can't continue. Again, hobby businesses turning into real businesses. Can you see the size of that fly behind me? It's huge. 30% of business owners run out of cash because hobby businesses are not the same as profitable businesses. And if you don't make the switch, you're going to run out of cash. According to data from Startup Genome, the failure rate of startups in the UK is about 60%. That's massive, absolutely huge. And only 25% of businesses make it to 15 years or more. And again, all of this is research without any kind of, it's all fur coat and no knickers. I don't know what the substance is behind this. Lots of businesses might choose not to go any further. These 15% of businesses are still trying to grow and be bigger and better. So there's loads of stuff around kind of giving yourself time, but feeding into that are some key tasks, key mindsets, I think, that really, really help with a lot of this. So one of the things I talked about right at the beginning is determination and perseverance. If you know, and I really do mean this, if you know and other people know, so talk to someone whose opinion you value, who gets your business, not the bloke down the pub, not the mum, certainly not the mum. God, my mum does not get my business. She's so happy for me and supports me, but she's terrified every time I make a move. She still buys into this playing small idea that is the opposite of everything I believe. out of protection and out of love. Talk to people who get your business and know what you want to achieve. And look around for that right support group and community who can give you honest feedback, honest criticism, who will help show you what works and what doesn't work. But this determination thing, it's really easy to be talked out of it by other people who failed. And by failed, I mean given up generally. Other people who've given up, by people who are trying to protect you. If they protect loosely, that's their intention. It's not helpful. But it's really, really easy for perseverance to drop when you're exhausted and everything feels like it's taking forever. You're not really getting to where you want to go very fast. That, when we talk about the time it takes to build a successful business, the perseverance is the one thing that you need to do to keep going, basically. And let's remember, like, as women, we are up against other stuff as well. And whether we should be or not is a different matter. We are. I don't know how to tell a story without. I was in a room with a guy who made sexist jokes a couple of weeks ago, a few weeks ago. Genuinely, he had no idea these jokes were even sexist. He's probably been telling these jokes a long, long time. It's the stuff we come up against all of the time. And we have to kind of, I mean rise above it, but I mean kind of grin, correct, educate, and remember that that's on them, not you. You are absolutely capable, you are resilient, you are resourceful. Otherwise, you wouldn't have been doing this in the first place. So that perseverance is about fail forwards, using setback as a reason to grow. And remember when the going gets tough, why you started doing all of this, that goal that you're chasing, that definition of successful to you, go after that. So the time, freedom, the money, whatever it is. In all of this, one of the things we forget about when we are running our business is that you are your business. Like, as a small business owner, you are it. Even when you develop your team, you are it. You are the driving force. You are the reason it exists. Look after yourself. And again, I'm a freaking mental health therapist. And still, I recognize that it is very, very easy for me to let my own versions of self-care slip. And self-care is not just bubble baths and Netflix and Bridgerton, even though they're very good versions of it. It can be getting up earlier in the morning to do some exercise that you wouldn't have time to do in the day. It can be coming to a networking event that you sort of don't want to do, but you know every single time you leave, you feel like inspired and cheered up. There's lots of things that classify self-care that are not the same as relaxation, because it's not always that. Might be reading a book you've been dying to read. It might be a self-development book that you've been dying to read, but you haven't had time. And you haven't prioritized yourself to be able to do it. So yeah, make sure in all of this, you recognize you're your business. And without that self-care, you won't develop the business as well as you want to. And again, I'm lecturing this. I can recognize where I fall over at this. I can see it. But that perseverance part never fails me. Another hugely important part of making your business successful is to keep learning. So I watch businesses fail because they don't want to embrace things. So years ago, even 5 years ago, I was working with people who didn't want to do social media. There's still businesses out there that don't want to do social media. I'm not saying that it's wrong not to. I am saying you've got to keep learning what is the best way for you to move your business forward. And a lot of the times, the businesses that were saying they didn't want to do social media meant they didn't know how. They didn't know how to use it effectively. And that's a really different thing from not wanting to do it. So it's that keep learning. And one of the things I sort of say in the blog is that if you have time, so many people say, I don't have time. I don't have time to learn. My business is so big. My kids are around. I have loads to do all the time. If you've got time to scroll on social media at any point in your day, you've got time to learn. You can choose what you do with your time, but it's not that you haven't got it. It's that you're using it for something else. And that can be okay. That's your decision. But don't tell me you haven't got time if you're wasting time on other stuff. So it's how I designed Business Club. So if you're not in Business Club yet, I have an online membership that's got short, sharp videos in, some of them Facebook Lives like this, that are designed to teach you something, inspire you a little bit, and kind of make you want to keep going. They're short and they're manageable. That's the point. You can do little tiny bits of learning. You don't have to have big blocks carved out in your calendar, because that often doesn't work for us. I work with Business in Bolsover running their events, and they've been doing some online events that are like 3 hours long. And the new ones that will be coming up will be an hour or less, because I don't have capacity to put 3 hour long events in my calendar. I might go out of the house and come to them because I'm getting something else from that. But I do not have time to sit at my computer for 3 hours on an online webinar. It doesn't fit. I do have time for shorter stuff, and I can choose to schedule that in. I won't choose a 3 hour long one. But I will constantly learn. I will choose books that have short chapters. I will intentionally, as soon as I know I'm scrolling, go and do something else that I know actually improves my skills. If I want to learn how to do email marketing better, go and learn. It's all that stuff of how you move your business forward is by keeping learning. And then the last kind of one, which I already touched at a bit at the beginning, is community. If you want to build your business faster, go and build relationships. And I cannot describe how my business has changed in this last year since I started forging local relationships. So online ones are brilliant. My online membership club is awesome for people who aren't around here. And obviously I've run online memberships before, and they're a joy, they're an absolute pleasure. But I feel like a lot of my opportunities have come from going to in-person local networking events, and they've changed my business. And I hated the idea of running them. Jade forced me to run, we're off co-working in 40 minutes. Jade forced me to run these. I didn't really want to, but my business has changed massively because of doing it. So this idea of finding a community, if it's not a face-to-face one, that's fine. Lean into one. There's a free one. Well, most of you will be in it. You're watching me here. There's a free one. Bring in people that you know can be built up by being part of like a mentorship, a good networking group. It's the idea of together we rise. It's true. There's no competition, there's no competition. There's only collaboration here. We've got loads of people, even at the networking, the co-working today, there are different people doing the same job, business, but it's not the same at all. I think we've got 3 or 4 cake makers. They all refer to each other. They all do different types. There is so much collaboration in a networking group if you find the right kind of group. Bear in mind, I've been to networking groups that are freaking awful. If you hate it from the moment you go, don't go back. You don't have to force yourself to like it. Find a different one. Find a different one. If you're around my area, gosh, we run loads and we are so non-cliquey. Come and try it. But the online one too, there's space there. So if you've got any questions, pop them in the comments. Quite a few of you on live. I also know lots of you are already at co-working, waiting for me. So some of you met up early for breakfast, so I know you might not have the sound on properly. If you've got any questions, jump in and ask. But I really, really want to push this idea of give yourself time to succeed. There is no rush. Build your business with good foundations. So when it does start growing, you don't have to start again. I've done bits where I've had to start again on certain things, build it on good foundation. Hey, darling. Haley said, good, I'm glad. Self-care is again, I recognize it and I know how important it is. We can't run our businesses without it because we are our business. And yeah, putting yourself to the top of the pile instead of the bottom, it's so important. All right. So I'm off. If you watch this on replay and you've got any questions, pop them in the comments. There are quite a few of you on, so I don't know what you're all doing. Have the best week. I'm back next week, but I have no idea what I'm talking about because Jade's not here to tell me. See if I can find it. I think I've just broken everything now. Events, maybe. Checking out the competition I'm doing next week. That's exciting. Right, but next week I am at Benny's networking event. So I'm at our monthly meetup networking event. So the Facebook Live, this live is at 2:00 next week. Can't cope without Jade. It's amazing. Oh, hi, someone. Who's this? Hang on, because now I've broken my thing. Who is in Suffolk? Suzanne? Claire. Oh, how lovely. What are you doing in Suffolk? I wish you were here, Jade. Can you please tell StreamYard your name? You should know better than that. I don't want to talk to you. I'm highly unimpressed with you. Right, I'm going because I'm going to pick the gorgeous Susan up for co-working because something's up with her car. Someone's already bailed on co-working because there's something up with their car. So let's hope mine works all right. I will see you all in 20 minutes, 25 minutes. If you've got any questions, put them in comments. I will come back to you. If you want to know any more, just let me know. All right, have the best week. I will see you next Monday on here at 2:00. All right, ladies. Bye.